Let the record show that the regular Riverview City Council meeting was called to order at 7 p.m. on February 6, 2023. Will the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember Blanchett.
Here.
Councilmember Ganaga. Councilmember Norton.
Here.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Robbins.
Here.
Mayor Swift.
Here.
Councilmember Workman.
Here.
Let the record show that Councilwoman Ganaga is excused. Tonight we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Workman and the invocation by Councilman Robbins. Will you please rise?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for being able to make it here tonight. We ask that you would give us your wisdom, your understanding, to make the best decisions we can possibly make for the good people of this city. Thank you so much. Amen.
Thank you. Tonight we have, Jeff, is there any announcements?
Your Honor, we do not have any announcements this evening.
Okay. I do have one. I would, on behalf of myself and City Council, wish to offer condolences to our new city manager on the loss of his sister-in-law. Just let you know that you're in our prayers.
Thank you.
Again. We have no other announcements. We have no awards and presentations. We have 5-1 approve the minutes of the 1/17/23 regular Riverview City Council meeting in the condensed version for publication. What's council's pleasure?
So moved.
support.
Motion by Councilman Robbins, supported by Councilman Norton. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
We have no, excuse me, we have no public hearings tonight. Now is the time for guest and visitor comment. Anyone wishing to address the mayor and council, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Try to keep your comments to 5 minutes. There is no sharing of time and no rebuttals, and please be respectful. And I will add that I've been asked by council to remind the speakers that to keep their comments to 5 minutes. We have a new system here where our city clerk will, a little sign that's really hard to see when you have 30 seconds left. Sorry if you get blinded by it. But you'll have a warning at 30 seconds, and I do ask that everyone address their comments to myself or to council, not to members of the audience. So with that, yes, sir.
Yes, Bill Toll, 17861, Devonshire. Mr. Mayor, I'll speak with you, but my questions are directed to Councilman Norton, and I'll wait till the close of the meeting for a response. Number one, if opting in for recreational marijuana is all about increasing revenue, how much revenue do you project that this ordinance will generate for the community? Number two, in the past, whenever a decision was required that would significantly impact the community, like the landfill expansion or the change in the fire department from part-time to a combination full-time, part-time employees, council has always presented their case to the residents and asked for approval. Why were you opposed to seeking resident approval for recreational marijuana dispensaries? I noticed that you're going into closed session tonight for labor negotiations. So Chuck and residents, I suggest you go to the city website and click on the Financial Treasure tab, Budget, and review the Redmond Group Financial Analysis and the State of Michigan Approved Retirement, OPEB, Corrective Action Plan. Our OPEB will not be 40% funded until the year 2048. That being said, if you're concerned about the city's finances, why are you pushing for going back to a defined benefit plan for the police department and are opposed to provisions in contract that stipulate no health care to age 60 the same as all other employees in our community. The unfunded liabilities for pension and health care last year alone were about $2.7 million, and they are the cause of the financial issues the city currently has. I mean, why would you want to revert back to a system that is the cause of the financial issues our community is currently dealing with? You know, the community can no longer afford to have people retire at 50 years old and draw total health care at no cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Moss. I live at 18207 Valade. There are a few things I wanted to go over that happened the last couple of weeks. The first of which, for those who don't know, is there was an incident on Huntington Street where a husband was throwing objects, apparently, and it got so bad the police had to be called. His wife and one of his children went into the basement to hide before they were rescued by a police officer or perhaps a couple of officers, whichever it is. Subsequently, the gentleman, or the husband, if you will, tucked a gun in his pants, from what I remember, but then opened the door for the police not long after he found out his wife and his child had escaped. Unfortunately, all without incident, and that could have been very, very tragic. So it's a good job by Chief Allen and the police department, whoever the officers were that were involved in that particular incident. Second thing I want to mention is the bicyclist that was hit. I believe he was crossing 4th Street at Pennsylvania and got hit by a vehicle and ended up in what I believe is critical condition. Certainly my sympathies go out to him, and hopefully he's doing okay. There is one thing I wanted to check on that, though, which I wasn't able to, that I'll report back on at the next meeting that I'm at. Thirdly, there was an incident at the Huntington Apartments where somebody pulled out into 4th Street and apparently got into an accident, which I believe was a 3-vehicle accident. People need to be aware not to pull out, especially into 4th Street, and especially from the side streets when traffic is not clear. And one of the things, because of what Councilmember Robbins said, and I'm not quoting you on this, but one of the things you had stated is he talked about at the last meeting about more solutions and that, and I started thinking about that. The one thing I would propose, and it's been on my mind for a few years now in regards to this, is I believe we need to have a driver safety awareness week in this city. And my proposal would be that we have it the week after the 4th of July. And if I'm not mistaken, the 4th of July this year is on a Tuesday. So if we could have it like on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, if that's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think that would be good. Otherwise, whatever the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would be, that would correspond to that. And then finally, I had a question, or a couple of questions. From what Mr. Dobak said at the last meeting, it sounds like to me Rob McMahon is no longer with the city, and if that's the case, since he was the finance director as well as the treasurer, my first question is, one, is the next person going to hang on to both of those titles? And I know Mr. McMahon just had the title of treasurer added, I believe, this past summer to his title of being finance director. And then two, let's see, I lost my train of thought. Okay, first question is, are you planning on having one person have both those titles, or are you going to go back to the way it was and have Mr. Dobak take on the title of treasurer and then just look for a city finance manager? And then finally, one thing I'll say is, after almost 2 weeks, thankfully, nobody's been trying to pound their fist through my door, which is particularly good, and nobody came to my house to shine a light in my eyes right through my window. So keep up the good work on that, Chief Allen. Thank you.
Anybody else?
You got that wrong.
Tim Duran, 19118 Wedgewood. I enjoyed the police briefs. It was very interesting. I wish the council would quit saying that they adopted this ordinance because the citizens of the state of Michigan approved this. Well, if you go back and look at every city, probably 99% of the cities that have approved marijuana sales have done it on a ballot issue. You had 4 council members who unilaterally just decided to do this. Almost every city that has either considered or adopted cannabis sales asked their residents by ballot where they wanted the sales, whether they wanted sales in the city, as well as how many and where they wanted them and the appropriate amount. I sure hope no one anticipated the Pandora box they were opening when they voted to allow unlimited outlets in fear of being sued. I am unaware of any other city being sued for limiting the number of licenses. Some municipalities have been sued unsuccessfully for scoring systems in awarding licenses. If you had done your homework, you would have realized that almost every municipality has limited the retail stores to 2 or 3, some even 1. Recently, Lincoln Park voters recently approved sales limiting to 2 outlets. Allen Park soundly defeated a proposal which limited it to 3 establishments. Flat Rock voters just turned it down with 1 retail outlet. Belleville just approved 2 licenses. Taylor voters recently approved marijuana sales. However, they must be in an industrial area and they must be a half a mile apart. Those cities are much bigger than Riverview. And our 300-foot ordinance is probably about from that wall to that wall. So, I was talking to somebody, and they said could be up to 13 in Riverview based on the zoning. Riverview is only 4.6 square miles and a population of 12,000. Since you cannot FOIA information on cannabis license, it certainly makes you wonder what is so secretive about the process. I still have no idea where the 9 or more proposed applications are going. This legislation was probably written in the back room by lobbyists. I am still concerned about the makeup of the committee. I understand there were no meetings with business owners impacted, as well as no dialogue with the planning commission or school board. I know the school superintendent, who was also on the committee, was opposed to the ordinance. You also received a letter at the public hearing from Tim Bohr, president of the school board, which was not read, opposing the ordinance. As I stated before, I had asked for an application around June 15th for the committee and never received one. I assumed the committee had not yet been formed. On the day of the public hearing, I was informed that 2 council members suggested to the city that I not be sent an application. I assumed the reason was because I would be objective and thorough. A person who stated that they were pro-marijuana submitted an application 45 days after I requested one. Does anyone want to acknowledge now that they were the 2 that told this person not to send me an application? How about, why don't the people who didn't ask the person to not send me an application, why don't you tell me who you are? I spent 28 years up here, and I never had a scandal. I currently serve many committees and nonprofits and everything, so it's rather embarrassing when somebody pulls these shenanigans. I would hope the council would pause the implementation of this ordinance, rethink the magnitude of the potential number of licenses, study other regional approaches to granting licenses, and modify the ordinance to make it a more common sense pollution. 13 facilities in Riverview is not an answer to anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, we will move on. 8.1, appoint organizational business. Excuse me. Appoint the Zoning Board of Appeals and Adjustments. We have one application from a Mr. Brett Chittum, I believe, who's sitting in the audience. Welcome, Brett. One application, so what's council's pleasure?
So move, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Workman, supported by Councilman Norton. Any discussion? I will say I've known Brett for several years. He's a quality guy, and I think he'll do a great job on the zoning board. told you I'd make up something good, and it was easy to do. Thank you, Brett. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor Swift?
Yes.
Councilmember Workman?
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett?
Yes.
Councilmember Norton?
Yes.
Congratulations, Brett. Is there any item council wants removed from the consent agenda? 9.1, authorize execution and addendum extending agreement for civil engineering services with C.E. Rains Company for a 3-year term, Department of Public Works. 9.2, approve special events application from Strides for Adam for a Strides for Adam 5K run using city property on Sunday, March 26, 2023. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilman O'Neill, supported by Councilwoman Blanchett. Any discussion? I will say I see Mark here. Congratulations. We look forward to another awesome event. You guys always do a great job, so thank you. You took roll on that, right?
Nope.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor Swift?
Yes.
Councilmember Workman?
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett?
Yes.
Councilmember Norton?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. 10.1, adopt resolution to amend ambulance service billing fees. What's council's pleasure?
So move, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Workman, supported by Councilwoman O'Neill. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Swift?
Yes.
Councilmember Workman?
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett?
Yes.
Councilmember Norton?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins?
Yes.
11.1, authorize execution and amended addendum extending agreement for the Pennsylvania Road water main replacement from Grange to the west boundary of the city to Bidiger Contractors for $609,835 and 10% contingency of $60,983.50 for a total cost of $670,818.50. And authorize field engineering and contract management fees to C.E. Rains Company in the amount not to exceed $92,619. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Blanchett, supported by Councilman Workman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Workman?
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett?
Yes.
Councilmember Norton?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor Swift?
Yes. 11.2, authorize execution of addendum extending agreement for the Vreeland Park and Wendy Court North water main replacement projects to Bidiger Contractors for $1,159,773 and a 10% contingency of $115,977.30 for a total cost of $1,275,750.30. And authorize field engineering and contract management fees to C.E. Rains in the amount not to exceed $139,172.76. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Blanchett, supported by Councilman Norton. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Blanchett?
Yes.
Councilmember Norton?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill? Councilmember Robbins?
Yes.
Mayor Swift?
Yes.
Councilmember Workman?
Yes.
We have no ordinances. Now is the time for other business. Anything council wants to bring up at this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Norton?
I would like to respond to Mr. Toll
Yes, sir.
on his questions. The opting in for the cannabis, for the revenue. I don't have a number for that, sir. I can tell you what the state paid out last year, roughly $56,000 per store. There's a $5,000 application fee to the city, and correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, $10,000 a year into a community program. Community yes, community benefit fee. As far as the police department, the defined benefits, from talking to the experts that are employed with this city, it's very hard for this city to retain officers when we don't offer the same benefits as our surrounding cities. I don't want to give a number, For some reason, in my head, I'm thinking it's us and one other downriver community that has that program, but don't hold me to that. So I think those are the questions that you asked me personally out of 7 of us. As far as Mr. Duran, I want to thank you for your 28 years of service with this city. I am shocked and blown away that you didn't attend the 12 meetings that we had. They were open meetings. Our mayor did a phenomenal job in the Riverview Register, sharing with the residents, the 3 council people that were on that committee. I have heard that same number as you of 13. I don't see how it's possible. The reason that we didn't put a number was because of our fine attorney next to me here. It was his recommendation because of the scoring level. I've done research on it since we've disbanded, and the litigation against the following municipalities based on recreational ordinances, you have dozens in Detroit, Warren, Berkeley, Westland, Royal Oak, Menominee, Port Huron, Traverse City, Mount Pleasant, Ypsilanti, Keego Harbor, Ironwood, and then you have a litigation against the following municipalities for medical: Pontiac, Lansing, Royal Oak, Livonia, Bloomfield Hills, Ypsilanti Township, City of Wyoming, St. Joseph, York Township, Byron Township, Garden City, and Hazel Park. Then you have litigation against the following municipalities based on ballot access: Rockwood, Gibraltar, Royal Oak, Clawson, Potterville, Perry, Lapeer, Keego Harbor, Huntington Woods. And litigation against the following municipality based on marijuana and employment issues: Lansing. When it comes to the the dispensaries, provisioning centers, I don't know the legal terms of them. As Council Member Ganaga has stated over and over, we kept getting phone calls from residents that said, if you guys don't address this, we will file a petition and get it ourselves, and then we as a body lose control of that ordinance. But the thing that really, it just blows me away, with 28 years involved in city politics and being the captain of the team at one time, I didn't receive an email, Councilmember O'Neill didn't receive an email, Councilmember Ganaga didn't receive an email, and we had a lot of people show up to those meetings. Mr. Toll even showed up and sat in on it. Mr. Kyleman was there for all 12 of them, and we never had any dialogue with you personally while it was going on. It was once it was done and completed. Sir,
Okay, Council.
Sir,
all right.
I'm not done
Don't-
talking, okay? You had your 5 minutes, but you know how our email addresses work. That's fine. I'm just trying to answer the questions that you had. You said you asked for an application. I don't know who you asked. The only conversation I've ever had with any of my colleagues about residents being on the committee was to our mayor suggesting the economic development chairman, and the mayor said, Councilman Norton, you're on that committee, we already have representation from there. I personally didn't know who the residents were until the day of the meeting. So I don't know who you asked for the application, but with 28 years experience, I would assume that you would walk into the city clerk and say, could I have an application to be on the cannabis committee? If that didn't happen, I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Any other council wants to speak up?
Your Honor,
Councilman Workman.
I was thinking about this. I think a good idea would be for us to create a commonly asked questions section on our webpage. I see a lot of the questions that are coming up are repetitive. They've been said numerous times. Fact is, they're getting kind of old. I would like to possibly set up a method in which we could direct people that have questions to our website. Any questions that they have could be directed to the city manager or whomever he chooses, and he can direct them to the people to answer those questions. Because when they come in, I'm sure other people have those questions. And if we put them on the website, then we're going to come up with how do you get an application stuff is going to come up, and how often do you put an application up, and how was it chosen, and I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to put that up and explain things and, I mean, be as transparent as possible. And this would probably answer most of the questions that people are having. I've felt for you being put in a position where you weren't the person that was involved in a lot of this, and then you're fielding the answers, and we're trying to get council members to do that, and then the arguments are starting. Then we're going to find out if it's true, and if we didn't put the right and in there or in there, then we're get the snot beat out of us. It'd be nice to put it on the website and have a chance to have someone like Mike look it over real good to make sure that everything is extremely accurate that we post up there. Just something
Great
I'd like
idea.
to request.
But I think one of the questions Mayor Duran had, I think last time, was filing the Freedom of Information Act on those who applied for a license, and he was told it wasn't FOIA-able, and I think we did find out that's true. But let me ask this, Mike. Once the application is fulfilled and that person gets a license, does that now become public information once the license is awarded?
The identity of the person who
Yes.
receives a license?
Yeah,
I
once
would-
it's awarded.
I would think that would be discoverable or be able to be released, yeah.
Okay.
That's not part of the application. The statute specifically says the information in the application is not subject to the FOIA law.
Okay. And then, this, my opinion is that because Councilman Norton brought up the fact about the ordinance, if somebody else sponsored the ordinance, then we would lose control, and that's likely true. But, I mean, an ordinance could still happen. There could still be some group coming up with an ordinance that deals with the dispensaries or marijuana, whatever, so that's still could happen, even in spite of what we did. Would that be correct? Could there be an ordinance to say,
Somebody could file a petition to repeal the ordinance that was adopted, but not another one or a new one.
not a new one, but,
We've already
okay,
taken- We've stepped into that and dealt with it.
okay. And from what homework I did too, to answer, who asked the questions? Oh, Mr. Toll, about the amounts brought in, and Councilman Norton did answer correctly with the $56,000 per store. That was the estimate from this past year. $5,000 license fee, renewable every year, is that correct?
Yes.
$10,000 in a community benefit. Now, and this is just the way I'm trying to look at how this works. I'm assuming, or I believe, the reconciliation from the state happens in September or later.
The count date, they go by the count date as of this end of the state fiscal year, which is September 30th,
Okay,
but the revenue is not distributed till the spring of the following year.
the following year. So, just so people know, is that we wouldn't anticipate a dime of that for almost 2 years from now. And
Well, we,
or a year and a half.
some of us attended a meeting the other day with the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, and they said that they go by the number of licenses the state has issued. Even if the city has not issued a license, they go by if somebody has obtained a license from the state in the city of Riverview, it would count.
Okay,
We would be entitled.
but they wouldn't get a license from us if they didn't have one from the state.
They
So that's the important count, I get
Yeah.
that. Okay. Shoot, there was one more, I just lost it. Anyway, it'll come to me in a week. Anything else council wants to bring up? Oh, Jeff. The question from Mr. Maz about who gets the title of treasurer, and where do we stand on searching for a finance director? And would that person be one and the same?
Your Honor, we are currently actively searching for a new budget finance director and purchasing individual. It will be depending on their qualifications, on if that person will also be the treasurer or not. So we'll get there when we start. We've interviewed a candidate, and we're hopefully going to be interviewing additional candidates, and we'll make that decision based on their experience level and such.
Thank you. And I just remember my other point was when Councilman Norton listed all the cities, municipalities involved in lawsuits or one way or another, you can almost guarantee Riverview will be added to that list at some point. So, just, be aware that we likely have that coming too. So if there is no other business, Councilman Workman.
One quick.
Yes, sir.
We voted on this, and it's over, is my belief. There's not anything, and the city attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, there's not anything we can do at this moment. It is now at the Planning Commission. And our involvement is over, am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
So with us not being able to get our landfill expansion, and with the adjustments we're going to need to do in this city and the things we are going to need to do, I got to be honest with you, since there's nothing I can do about this, and I voted no against it, there's nothing we can do about this, then why don't we move on to some things in this city that need to be done and quit spending all our time on marijuana. I didn't like marijuana when I was younger. I don't like marijuana now, and I'm getting very tired of marijuana, to be honest with you. Let's move on. Let's start doing things that is good for the city and quit spinning our wheels like this. This is getting ridiculous. Thank you.
I think we're all on the same page on that.
Your Honor,
Councilman Robbins.
through your chair to Jeff, I was wondering, as far as a 2030 vision plan, what do we need to get that rolling?
Your Honor, to Councilman Robbins, we will be providing you an outline of the past plan. I know the Community Development Director scrubbed and with the department heads, the things that were done from that plan, the things that currently don't apply anymore for whatever reason, and there'll be like an outline of things that we will look at. And with that outline, that visioning plan is actually council's. That's not the administration staff's vision. That's actually the vision of council, and that'll be a starting point. So we will bring something forward at our next study session with that plan, and it's a working document. By no means is it a final document, but it's kind of a roadmap or an outline of things that need to be looked at, and that'll be then a decision of council of what items, and we'll formulate a potential committee, kind of like we did with actually the marijuana. So,
Fantastic, thank you.
With that, I would look for a motion to recess into closed session for collective bargaining discussions. Recess means we're coming back. What's council's pleasure?
So moved, Your Honor.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Blanchett, supported by Councilman Norton. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Let the record show we recessed at 7:34. Let the record show that we reconvened at 8:02 on February 6th, 2023. Will the clerk please take roll?
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Robbins.
Here.
Mayor Swift.
Here.
Councilmember Workman.
Here?
Councilmember Blanchett.
Here.
Councilmember Norton.
Here.
Carrie, you're up.
Thank you, Your Honor. The two matters should
You
be-
turn your microphone on. There you go.
Two matters before the council this evening involving ratification of agreements. The first is to move to ratify the tentative agreement previously ratified by the Police Patrol Unit.
Do we have a motion?
So move, Your Honor.
Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Clarifying that patrol.
Patrol.
Yes.
All right, and the second matter is also to move to ratify the tentative agreement previously ratified by the Police Command Unit. I understand Councilmember O'Neill is... All right, very well.
She does have an interest and she will be abstaining, correct? Okay. Roll call. Well, we have a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Blanchett, supported by
Support.
Councilman Norton. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Swift.
Yes.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Abstain.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
And with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn from Councilwoman Blanchett.
So moved, Your Honor.
Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Workman.
Yes.
Councilmember Blanchett.
Yes.
Councilmember Norton.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Yes.
Councilmember Robbins.
Yes.
Mayor Swift.
Yes. Let the record show that we adjourned at 8:04.